Hey everybody, it's Lindsay, and in this video I wanted to talk more in depth about my extensions. In the last video I explained all about Irresistible Me, about the kind of extensions I have, what I got, all of that, all the different options. In this I wanted to talk more specifically about how I cut them, how I colored them, my recommendations for that, and kind of how I placed them, put them in, things like that. So if you didn't see the full review, I definitely would recommend watching that first to see, kind of talk about more about these extensions specifically. Okay, but first, the type of extensions I got were the Irresistible Me, the Royal Remy, their highest level of hair. I got the 22 inch in white blonde and the 200 grams, which they only come in 200 grams for this length. But here is the 2-clip weft and what it looks like, how it would come just right out of packaging. You can see how long it is. And if I can find my picture, I took a picture with the extensions in before I got them cut or colored, and if I can find that picture, I will put it in here so that you can see just how long the 22 inches, the 22 extensions are, 22 inch extensions are. So the reason I went with 22 inches, I probably wouldn't have had to go that long, but the reason I did that is because I didn't know where they were measuring from. I don't know if that makes much of a difference, but like if you're gonna place your extension here, you know, that is gonna give you so much more length than if you put your extension here. You know what I mean? There's a 5-inch difference there. So are they measuring from, if they're all gonna be the same length, or, are the bottom one's gonna be shorter and this one's gonna be taller? I just didn't know how much longer it would be, and I already knew that I was going to have to get them cut to match my hair because I wanted them to blend seamlessly. So I erred on longer rather than shorter, and then not be able to cut them quite the way I wanted. So I went with longer, which worked out really well because as you can see, they're definitely thinner at the bottom than they are at the top. And that is a good thing because if you don't want to get them cut, you want them to naturally kind of just fade out like your hair would if you really had hair that long. You wouldn't want it just totally blunt cut at the bottom. So because they're thinner, it gave me plenty of room to be able to have them cut but still have plenty of volume. I did not lose too much hair. So what I did is, the color was already wrong. I could tell that I was gonna need to color it. But I wanted to get them cut first before having them colored so that my hairstylist could see the difference between my hair and the extensions, because I did not want my real hair being cut, because I'm not gonna wear the extensions all the time, so I want my hair to still look okay without them. So I watched a couple YouTube videos and I thought I might be able to cut these myself because I saw some videos, it looked so easy. I saw one where the girl bought a foam head from Sally's, like styrofoam head, and then she, clipped the hair extensions and she cut them and it looked awesome for her and it looked so easy. Well, I did that, and a couple cuts in, I thought, I am so out of my league. I should not be doing this. So I took them to one of my girlfriends is a hairstylist around here. So I put them in. I had them for a while, several days to probably close to 2 weeks before I went to have her cut them, because I wanted to wear them a couple times just around the house, practice putting them in to know exactly which ones I wanted where and the exact placement I wanted them, because that's important. You want to leave, if you're going to get them cut, you want to leave the extensions, you want to put them in the same order every time so that your layers are correct. So I, made sure I knew exactly where I was going to want them, and I put them all in my head, put them all in my head except for this one, because honestly, I just forgot. But now I'm glad I forgot this one because I get to show you what they looked like before I did anything to them. So I put them all in my head. My hair was like crazy long. It looked so funny. And they were too golden for my hair, so it was very easy to tell the difference between my hair and the extensions. So I just went in, she dry cut them. She didn't have to, it was so cheap because she didn't have to wash my hair. She didn't have to style it. It just was like real quick. She dry cut them to blend them and add layers. If you are going to get extensions to add any kind of significant length, you're going to want to get them cut to make them look natural, because if you have shorter hair and want it to be longer with extensions and your hair stops here and then you've got full length and then the extensions stop with no layers in between, is going to look so obvious that you have extensions, and you want them to be layered the whole way down so that your hair, your real hair, just blends in naturally with the extensions and it's not just some big gap of straight hair. So that would be my biggest tip for getting them cut, is if you're adding length, you're probably gonna need to get them cut. You might be able to just add a couple snips yourself, but I was taking some significant length off these, so I wanted to get them cut. So I just had I had her cut all of them on my head except for this one so that I knew they would all be cut and ready to go. So then I went and I also had talked to her about coloring them myself. I knew I was gonna color them myself, and so I got her opinion on kind of what dyes I should use to blend them in with my natural hair. The biggest thing is my hair is cooler and more of a white blonde than the extensions. So I went with the lightest one they have, which is white blonde, but it's still not white enough for me. So I knew I needed to tone them to make them a little cooler looking, and then also needed to add lowlights, because even though my hair has definitely, you know, very blonde parts, it's still, I have some pretty dark hair too, so I wanted to blend them. So I'll use this one as an example. What I did is I went to Sally's and I got Demi Permanent Hair Color, which I've, you know, used before, and I used to do my own hair, so I had foil, I had, you know, everything to color them myself. If you've never done that, have somebody else do it. You know what I mean? Have a professional do it. But for me, I felt very comfortable doing that. So what I did is I took, you know, one weft at a time. I put it on a clipboard, which made it very easy, and just foiled in some low lights. I used probably 3 different colored dyes to add dimension. And then the biggest thing that I think made a difference for me is these original wefts are very blonde all the way to the root here, the seam, which is great if you have platinum blonde all over, but I don't. I have darker roots. Even the day I get my hair colored, I have darker roots. It's just how hair normal, you know, people who lighten their hair, that's how your hair normally is. Always gonna be darker at the roots. So I really wanted to hide the wefts, and if I have this bright blonde strip going across my hair underneath, it's gonna be much more obvious. So what I did is I, you know, foiled in some lowlights, and then I also just painted on some of the dye around the roots and darkened the roots, and that really makes a big difference to help hide them even more. Now this is the 4-piece weft that I have not worn because it's just so much hair, I don't need it. This one would go, I think when I had her cut on, this was gonna go a little higher. So I did not do them too dark at the roots because my hair is lighter at top and dark at the bottom. I will take off my bottom weft here. So here is what this looks like. It's all crazy now, I just pulled it out. But you can see the roots are definitely darker as compared to, let me pull this one out, the original color. You can see how blonde it is at the roots and how dark I made it. And that makes it so much easier to blend and look natural. And you can see I also definitely added some low lights, and that was the key to getting them to blend. So I added the low lights, and then I also wanted to try and add some highlights to brighten up some of the higher wefts that I was gonna be wearing, because I wanted some of them to be as light as my hair. So I used bleach, and I used a level 30 developer, and I don't think it lightened them at all. I left them on a while. I even used my blow dryer a little bit to try and, you know, help it along a little bit, and I don't think it lightened them at all. So maybe if I had used a level 40 developer, it would have lightened them, but I'm not counting on that. So my biggest suggestion to you, if you know you're gonna have to color them to match your hair, especially blondes, go with the lightest that your hair is and then add the low lights, because it's so much easier to add color and dye them darker than it is to lighten them. I don't know if I could have lightened them. So I was really happy I went with the lightest and just added darker colors. So then when I washed the dye out, I used my purple shampoo. It's the Schwarzkopf Color Save Silver Shampoo, and it is very purple, and that helps to tone and really cool it down. It takes out the brassiness. And so I kind of let that soak on them for a while, and that really cooled them down. And so if you look at the difference between the original and what I dyed, I mean, the original is like brighter, and I think on its own looks prettier, but I need them to look like my hair. So the dye kind of dulled them down a little bit, but they blend seriously so well. I was at a wedding with the girl who cut them, and so she saw what they looked like before and then saw when I dyed you know, the low lights I added, and she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe how good they looked and how well they blended with my hair. So that's how I colored them. And I mean, I haven't really done anything since. I've just been taking care of them, and I've only had to wash them once since. So I also wanted to talk about how I put them in. As you can see, this is the bottom. I keep them on this type of hanger so that I can keep track of them, and I just remember what order I put them in and where they go. So when I don't have any of them in my hair, the first thing I do, I start with the bottom. And the biggest trick to keeping them hidden is keeping them as low as possible. If you put an extension up here on top of your head, you have less hair to be able to cover it and hide that weft. So you want them as low as possible so more of your hair covers it, so that if the wind blows, if your hair separates in the back at all, you don't have to worry about people seeing them. So I just take one of these hairdresser's combs with the pick, and I kind of poke the back of my head here, and I go straight across as low as possible, take the hair above the comb and clip it to the top of my head, and then I take a mirror and hold it behind my head and look in my big mirror, and I look at the part. I make sure the part is straight because you want it to be straight for them to be in right, and then it has these clips. And so I'm just gonna do it on the very top of my head so that you can see what I'm talking about, but I just imagine this was, way underneath. So if this was my part where I wanted it, I would, I pull that hair out. Oh, big thing here. I spray where I'm going to be putting the clips with hairspray so that they stick, because if I put them on my roots just as they are, it's too silky. It would be much easier for them to be pulled out or fall out. I know some people tease them. To me, that's so much more work, and I don't have to do that. If I just spritz a little hairspray, that really keeps them in place. So I spray it with hairspray, and then I pull my hair out where I want this to be clipped, and I pull it out and I dig these teeth into it to make sure that it's in there where I want it, and then I pull it around and do the same thing to the other side. Then I take my pick again, and I just feel where that clip is that I just put in. I go just a tiny bit above that, do the same thing, go straight across, pull it up, clip it, look at it to make sure my part is straight, and then also as I go up, I want to make sure I have enough hair in between. You need enough hair for these clips to be able to grab onto, but you still want to try to keep them as close as possible so you can keep them as low as possible. So that's kind of the trick. Sometimes I have to redo it to make sure that I have enough hair, that they're close enough. And then I just do that. So I do that all over my head, and I can do them in about 10 minutes. It's really easy once you get going. But it definitely takes some time to get used to. So the way I put them in, I have the two clip wefts. I do two of those at the bottom because, where your hair line goes into your neck, it's smaller there. You have less hair at the bottom of your neck. So I do two of the two clip wefts. Then I do two of the three clip wefts, and then that takes me to about like middle of my ears. And then I take two more of the two clip wefts like this and put them just above my ears. And so these come, closer to the side of my face, where the other ones are really behind. Then the two clip wefts are here, one on either side. And then I have the one clip wefts, which I can show you where do I have that one? Here it is. There we go. So that's my one clip weft. So I kind of just mess around and figure out where I want those. I put one on either side, and I put them so that they can kind of blend. So that is high. In the back, this is where my highest weft comes to. But on the side, I can put that there because I part my hair on the side, so it has plenty of hair covering it, and I don't think I've ever had them show. I definitely think I'll be wearing these more in winter, because now that it's summer, a lot of the events and parties and things like that are outside, and if there's wind blowing and stuff, I'm just not super confident wearing them that they won't show, because I don't want them to show. I don't care if people know about them, I just don't want them to be like showing and have them look weird. And because I don't put a lot of product in my hair to like keep it in place, my hair would blow all over the place. But I don't think I've ever had them show. I've never had anybody comment on knowing their extensions, so I just feel like they're such good quality, and because I colored them myself to match my hair, and because I had them cut for my haircut, they just really blend well. So that is how I put them in. I think that was it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. If you have any specific questions, you know, feel free to ask me. I'm happy to help. But yeah, I'm just really pleased with these. I've had so much fun with them. It's just so fun to not have to worry about your hair. I just put these in, I style them a tiny, like I style my hair to match them a tiny bit, and my hair just looks great. It's just so nice to have like such full, thick, long hair, have so much hair. It's been a lot of fun. So it's fun for, you know, special occasions for me, or just kind of when I want a little extra something. So that's basically it. If you're interested in them, I will put a coupon code below for 10% off. And yeah, again, any questions, let me know, but I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you, everybody.